Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Welcome to the four-part interactive virtual webinar series of SAIL-ESI AI in Endocrinology Research course, an interactive virtual webinar series brought to you under the aegis of the Endocrine Society of India, supported by USV. My name is Dr. Sona Warrior from the medical team of USV, and on behalf of ESI and USV, we welcome everyone to join us for Module 1, where we will explore the transformative power of AI in endocrinology research with a special focus on practical real world applications. Tonight, we delve into course introduction and conducting literature review using AI. This is a crucial topic as AI promises to revolutionize how we approach research, making processes more efficient and insightful. It is my honor to welcome our esteemed course coordinator, Dr. Om J. Lakhani, a consultant endocrinologist from Ahmedabad. I now hand over the session to Dr. Om Lakhani, who will guide us and help us sail through the fundamentals of using AI for literature review. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sona. And thank you again to USV for being a part of this. And thank you to Endocrine Society of India for making this happen. This is a great collaboration between Endocrine Society of India, supported by USV, with a complete unrestricted educational grant. I think it's an idea which we are taking forward, and it's well supported by USV for that. So thank you. And I'd like to introduce today a man who is the person who is actually the brains behind it, is Dr. Narendra Kotwal sir. Now, Kotwal sir, I know him for many years. I know him since I was a resident in endocrinology. We learned a lot from him when he was a teacher at R, and we were students in endocrinology at Gangaram. That is when I first met him. Then I think we met again at one of the SAIL-cons. And after that, sir has always been a mentor and guide to not only me, a lot of endocrinologists. I think I would say probably I'm a mid-career now. So a lot of mid-career and endocrinologists. I think Dr. Kotwal sir has been the mentor for a lot of us. And the very time when he took over as the president of Endocrine Society of India, he had this vision that we should consider integrating AI into endocrinology. We have been working behind the scenes with some collaborations with IIT Bombay also, which we should have soon. But the idea is taking shape now. We are really now sailing forward with use of AI in endocrinology research. And I'm going to show you the vision we have as Endocrine Society of India about what we are going to do. But before that, I'd like to invite Dr. Kotwal sir to say a few words. Sir, thank you so much for everything. I think it's because of you that this is happening today. Thank you for being part of this. And sir, just a few words from you for the same, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Om. Firstly, I would like to congratulate Om and USV team for this initiative. See, when I took out the presidency, this was my dream that we should bring in AI in endocrinology. And to that extent, really, Om has been very forthcoming and he has taken this initiative. Now, today is the first session which is going to start. And I'm sure AI is a part of ubiquitous, it's a part of our day-to-day life. And as professionals, we must leverage AI to help ourselves and to help our patients so the patients are benefited. And to that extent, how AI can be leveraged in our day-to-day practice, I think this is a good initiative. And I congratulate all the stakeholders, and I'm sure everybody would be benefited. Over to Om.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the kind words. And before we begin the formal set of lectures, let me give you a short introduction to how we are going to carry out this entire process. And since this is the first lecture in the series, first module in the series, I'll demonstrate everything that you need to understand. And please be a part of this initial beginning so that you understand how we are going to have the entire 4-part series. Okay, first let me tell you the entire vision as Endocrine Society of India, what is the idea exactly and how we want to take this forward. Remember, these are just early beginnings. This has to be part of our own career at some point of time. And that is why this is so important for all of us. Now, the basic idea when we started this was that how can we bring the endocrine community of India, which has probably, and I'm sure all of you would agree, the best brains in the country in medical field. How can we bring this? The quality is international. How can we bring them to an international stage? So this was the thought process we had initially in our minds. And we have all seen that if anything has to go across the board, it has to go international. It has to be original research and it has to be innovative. It has to be something which is path-breaking, game-changing, right? So that until you reach that stage, you're not going to go international. Just going to be known within the Indian circles. But if you want to transcend that boundary, you have to look at a bigger stage, right? So you have to look at bigger innovation. So in order to gain international reputation, what are the ways in which you can do it, right? Now, India could develop a new drug or new treatment, like USV is at the forefront of a lot of research and innovation in this field. Maybe India comes up with a new biomarker. We have a lot of Endocrine Society of India members who are working for that, who are innovating in terms of getting new diagnostic capabilities for us. But one thing which anybody can do from a level of a student who is or an endocrinology resident or a postgraduate trainee up till the level of a senior consultant, something which everybody can leverage is the information technology, right? And as a nation, information technology software has been our USP as a nation. And I think we should embrace this USP and we should probably build upon this based on what information and the knowledge that we have for so many years. So that's the whole idea, that to bring the Indian endocrine community to an international stage, information technology and artificial intelligence could be the way forward, right? Because the other aspects which we saw requires a lot of funding, requires probably years of work. But for us to reach an international stage at a lower cost, software, international tech, and information technology is the best way forward. So that's the whole idea, that we introduce artificial intelligence to the best brains of India, that is the endocrinologist, and how we can take this idea forward. So this is where the original concept started. And we decided to start some sort of a incubator within the Endocrine Society. So what you're seeing, the SAIL-ESI, it's a small incubator lab for your ideas for artificial intelligence research in endocrinology. So that's the whole idea. And how we are going to take that forward, we'll see in a few steps. So we've called SAIL-ESI, right? So SAIL, and asked me today morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, what is SAIL exactly? So SAIL is basically Scientific Artificial Intelligence Laboratory of Endocrine Society of India, right? So that is what SAIL is. And like I said, it's an incubator. It's an incubator for your ideas, for your research work, for your research inputs, how you can add a touch of AI to that and how we can take that to an international level. That's the whole plan. So the SAIL-ESI concept has two parts. One is the part we are doing now, that is teaching and training, which is we'll all teach each other the concepts and we can take that concepts to a broader stage at our own level. Second is mentoring, which is very important, right? So this is where the incubator part comes into picture. So at the end of the fourth lecture, we'll be sharing a form with you where we want your ideas, we want your inputs, right? We'll choose some of them. We'll work with some of the best technologists in the country, like the IIT Bombay and some other places. And we'll see how we can take your idea to the next levels, right? To the international level. So that's the second part of it. That will start once we end the teaching and training part, right? So that's the whole concept to take this forward. So this is the flow chart of how we're going to do it. So you have, in fact, we look at a broader endocrine community, not just the endocrinologists. We also see maybe there's an MBBS student who is interested in research in endocrinology. Maybe there's a resident doctor. Maybe there's a consultant. Maybe there are advanced researchers already in this. So all of them, we get them to an innovation lab. We ask for proposals, as we're going to do it after the fourth part. Every few months, we can have a small lab council or an incubator council meeting where we sit with all the stakeholders, including IIT Bombay and including other people. We select a proposal each time and then we mentor it. We refine the idea. We can develop apps and tools for that, and we can help in publication and, if need be, patent as well. So I think that is how we can take this entire step forward. So that's the broad vision which Dr. Kotwal sir and Dr. Hari sir came up with, and it's my job now to take this forward. So what are the type of ideas that we're looking to mentor? So it could be either a product or it could be research. So it could be an application or a backend model, which could be a product, or it could be core research, right? It could be using AI in existing research, or maybe de novo AI-based research. It could be that. All of these could lead to either a patent or a publication. And in the end, again, commerce also drives it. So if you could get something which is commercially viable, it could be a marketable product as well. So that is also something which we look at, right? And if you have a marketable product under the aegis of Endocrine Society of India, which is used internationally, it's a dream come true, right? So that's the whole idea, right? Like I said, we'll be teaching and training and we'll be mentoring and crafting ideas. That's the whole concept, right? Now, let me introduce the first part of it. That is the teaching and training part. That's what we are all here for. So this is a 4-part module. And trust me, there are certain things here which has never been taught before, never been taught to a broader community. So we wanted the best cutting edge innovation, right? So the first part is going to be the module one is going to be a little bit simple and introductory. You would have seen some of these things before. You would have seen me only talk about this. You would have seen Avneesh. I'm going to introduce Avneesh in a few minutes. Avneesh talk about this. So it's a little of a refresher to what a lot of you have already learned, but I'll also show you some interesting parts here as well. So anything comes with a little bit of interesting tarka, because in AI, the same talk which I gave 1 week back has become outdated now. So that's the speed at which innovation happens. In the second part, we have invited Dr. Shahid. I met him at one of the conferences conducted by endocrinologist Dr. Basavraj. Very interesting person. He's a DM in pulmonology, but he's left everything and is doing AI like Avneesh is doing. So he's going to teach us about Google Teachable Machine. And then we have a young and bright pathologist called Dr. Atul Tiwari. Again, one of the finds of this country. He is an expert in, again, use of AI. He's a coder like no other coder, right? I've seen him code beautifully. He's going to talk about a very useful tool, which is called Orange. Orange is a data mining tool. You will be fascinated by what he's going to teach you, right? So it's a very interesting project. And then me and Avneesh will come back again and we'll take the soft skills and how you can actually use all the skills you learned through the course to craft a research paper, how to write it down. And then we'll see other ways of how you can market, innovate your research paper to a broader audience. So that is what we'll do. And the fourth part, we'll also deal with collaboration, right? So we'll see how we can collaborate with each other and mentor some of your ideas and incubate them. So that's the broader point that we are looking at, right? Now, just to give you the flow of how things are going to work. Now, all of you have managed to reach here by registering through a link. That's great. At end of this presentation, you'll get an email back from Zoom where you can go to technochronology.com. Technochronology.com is a place where you will be able to access the material, which is the video recording of what we're going to have. So in case you miss out certain things or you want to revise, you can go there. We'll be also putting up some small bits of small lecture notes. Maybe there'll be a lot of prompts which we're going to discuss. There'll be prompts there. It will be a prompt library which you can use for your use cases. We'll be also having some small mini applications which we'll be putting up there. So there'll be a lot of content there. So you can go and check out this content. And at the end of the 4 modules, at the end, you will be able to download a certificate. If you've gone through the entire series, you'll be able to download the certificate of participation. It's not some sort of certification we are giving you to say that you are now an expert in AI. No, the certificate is a certificate of participation, which is just similar to any other Endocrine Society certificate, which you'll be getting, which says that you have attended this course. And I hope that becomes useful to your journey into AI in future. So that's the whole idea. Now, at the end of this course, you just have to go to the link, which you'll get from the email. If you don't get the link, just go to technochronology.com. Just go there. You'll have AI in endocrine research right up there. Click on that. You'll already use the email address which you use for signing up here. The same email address you'll have to use. The default password is SAIL-ESI 2020-2025, right? All these things will be there in your email. But in case you're not able to log in with this email, with this password, you can just go forgot password and you can reset the password and you'll be able to access the system, right? So this is what I think. Once again, before we begin, it will be incomplete to say that this has been made possible because of an unrestricted educational grant from USV to Endocrine Society of India for conducting this. And I think we are very grateful to USV for this grant, right? Which has helped us achieve what we are going to do today. Without much ado, if you can have Dr. Avneesh show up his bright face on screen. There you go. Dr. Avneesh. Let me introduce Dr. Avneesh. I'll first introduce him as a friend. He's a close friend of mine. We have worked together on several of these AI teaching systems for quite a while now. Interestingly, I met Avneesh for the first time in person just last week, right? And again, at an endocrine meeting at Raj Asicon. We met for the first time. He's from Udaipur, but he was originally an anesthetist, but now he's an AI thetist, right? So if that's a term, or a technocrinologist, I think would be the right term because that's what we are. Dr. Avneesh, he currently works as a consultant to many AI companies, including BrainX, LLC. He has been featured on the Times Square several times, right? And one day, at the end of the 4 part, we'll hear this story. Avneesh, this story to me batani padegi, hai na? He's MBBS, MD, anesthesiology, DNB. He has also done a PDCC in pain management from BHU. He has done MBA. So look at his achievements. He's a polymath, MBA in hospital and health systems management. He has a lot of publications in this field. He's one of the top voices for LinkedIn for AI in healthcare, right? So he's the guy right up there. And he's a creator of a Med AI capsule, which is a regular newsletter. You should subscribe to that. You'll get a lot of information about AI and a lot of these tools from that on a regular basis. I get lot of my knowledge there, and that's how I keep myself updated from the Med AI capsule. Ish, welcome, and thank you for accepting this, and thank you for being part of this.
Thank you, Dr. Om. I'm quite humbled. And the way you introduced me, I think I didn't know about myself this much, as much as you introduced me and told everyone. So thank you so much. Thank you, ESI, for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to be a part of this groundbreaking initiative, which I would call in the history of Indian medical science, so to say, and also USV. And Dr. Om is always a good friend, and we have been working for the last 2 years, as he said, on multiple initiatives. And now it's an opportunity to be a part of a structured activity under ESI. And I like the name SAIL. It's totally the boat is going to sail. So let me share my screen. And let me
Avneesh,
take...
just give me one minute.
Sure.
We'll just a few housekeeping rules quickly before we begin. So if you have a question, please feel free to put it in the chat. So in the Q&A section, you just put it there. We'll take up these questions at appropriate points of time. In the end, we'll have a free interaction where we'll allow you to raise your hand. So you can raise your hand, we'll allow you to speak, and you can ask your question live. One more housekeeping rule. If you're not done so, please go and log in from your laptop or have a laptop screen right with you. We want you to do certain things together with us, right? So that will actually help you use these things better. So I think it's supposed to be a hands-on workshop. So get your hands on a desktop or a laptop and start working with this, right? So these are a few housekeeping rules. And just to tell you what we're going to have today, we're going to have 2 lectures today. Dr. Avneesh is going to talk about the major thing, which is prompting. And if you learn prompting and if you become an expert in prompting, trust me, you have unlocked the world of AI. And the second part will actually use these things which Avneesh is going to teach you in a practical sense to do a research work, which is basically to do a literature review. We'll start the actual hands-on work right from today, right? So we'll do a literature review. We'll see all the ways in which you can do that. It will be live. There'll be some sort of a structure which I prepared, but we'll be doing things live, right? So I would wish that you do that with me so that it really helps you. Yeah. So with this, I request Avneesh to take this forward. He's going to talk about basics of prompting for AI research, especially with a special touch on endocrinology. So Avneesh, take the stage. Thank you.
Thank you. And just share my screen. So let me know when you can see it.
You can see it. We can see it. Go ahead.
Okay. The topic, as Dr. Om said, is going to be basics of prompting. And I'll be taking you in the next 30 to 40 minutes to the very important part of AI learning, which Dr. Om said. Because if you don't know how to prompt, then you will always be disappointed with these tools. And many of my friends come back to me saying that AI is overhyped and it doesn't work. But then when I'm demonstrating it to them, I'm getting the kind of results, and then they are fascinated with how could you get this kind of a result? But it's nothing magic. It's not the tool is working for me and not working for you. It's only the difference is prompting. So we'll go through this topic now. And okay, so this is about me. Dr. Om already introduced me to you. And I work for multiple organizations, and that is how I get a lot of perspective from different fields, even without practicing medicine. So I'm in touch with a lot of endocrinologists, diabetologists, my anesthesia friends, critical care specialists. I just try to keep in touch with everyone. And I represented India in the G20 kind of consultation, which was there in Ames Rishikesh. These are a few pictures from there. And if some of you have been to this place, this is Times Square, which Dr. Om was mentioning. And I have tried to take this cause at least to a level where it becomes visible that all healthcare professionals need to be educated in AI to be future ready and be empowered instead of feeling afraid of being replaced or whatever the hype is going on around there. I feel totally opposite. If we learn AI, we are going to be empowered. So a small disclosure. And let us dive in right away. Prompting, you must have heard before. A few of you must not have heard this term before. So let us start with basic. Let us assume that you don't know anything about prompting. So what is a prompt? You must have heard ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity. All these are large language models because they're trained on large amount of human language and they understand the patterns. But in order to get the output, you have to give a correct input. So that is why they say nowadays it's not important to know the answer. It is important to know the way to ask the right question. And many courses out there on LinkedIn, I'm seeing people are doing how to ask the right questions and get the correct thing what you want. So these kind of courses are also coming up. So they are not related to prompting, but the soft skill is basically to be able to frame your question well. So as I said, it's a carefully crafted input. and it is designed. So there's some kind of a design science going on behind it. It's not random, it's not abstract. It's very much intentional what you're doing with this kind of an input. And it is the starting point. So always before starting communicating with AI, always think twice. What am I trying to achieve? What is my plan? How am I going to proceed? What is my end goal? So that will help you craft a good prompt right at the beginning. Because although it's an iterative process, you will see in the next slides, but if you start on the right foot, then everything else keeps falling in place. But if you are wrong just from the beginning, then as they say, if your conversation starts wrong, then nothing can save it. So that is why, and you will see, I will show you some examples where you will see that it significantly influences the quality, and you'll be able to contrast how you can see the difference. There are some bad prompts and there are some good prompts. For bad prompts, I have a term which I have been using. It's called lazy prompting. Even I do lazy prompting at times when I'm in hurry, or maybe I just want to outsource the task, which is of course not a good thing to do. But then there are some instances, we are human beings, right? We cannot be perfect all over. We have to admit that we have our own biases, our own faults. And I keep switching between the two, but I try my best to stay in the good prompt, the green zone kind of a thing, where my prompts are clear. They are comprehensive yet concise. So this is something which you need to understand. The longer the better is not how it is. The more concise, the less number of tokens you are using, and the better the output is there. This has been seen like with multiple models. So it doesn't mean you write 2-3 pages of prompt and you will get a better response. Unless there's a relevant context and it is driven by purpose, it's not going to be considered a good prompt. You should be able to now, by understanding what is a prompt and what are the qualities of bad and good prompts, you must now be able to contrast once you see a prompt. So if your friend comes and shows you a prompt which is from the left side, write an essay, so you should be able to tell him, see, this is a bad prompt. You should be able to prompt it in a good way, which is on the right side. How to frame this prompt, how to construct this prompt, don't worry. I will show you the entire framework, and we will craft a prompt together to summarize an article. And maybe I assume you will be having some kind of an article in your downloads folder. So just keep that handy. So when we go to that exercise, so you have some kind of a PDF with you. So you can use it to summarize, or even not a paper, anything else, any other document, which you can, of course, doesn't have any privacy issues. You can upload it and we can do the prompting and we can see how to frame a prompt. So the purpose of my lecture is to just take you to the point of where you can frame a prompt. Now, how to use it for literature review, how to conduct one, that will be in the next part that will be covered by Dr. O. So now you will feel confident that now you can identify good prompts versus bad prompts. This is the only thing what I'm expecting right now. Why I said that prompting is you have to design a prompt, because prompting, when it started, it was a very vague kind of thing. Everyone was trying everything, but gradually down the line, when people realize that some kind of prompts or some kind of tricks give good response, they converted it into a science. So from an art, it became a science, and now prompt engineering has become an entire field which is like highly sought after, and many companies are ready to pay like even such high packages that they're quite unimaginable just for the skill of prompt engineering. Like how you can craft effective inputs. The keyword is effective inputs to guide an AI model towards generating the desired output. So effective and desired, these are two keywords. If you can design an effective input which can give you a desired output, you are a prompt engineer, my friend. You are a doctor, but then you are an engineer as well. Some people ask me, okay, if it is called engineer, then does it mean I need to know maths? Does it need to know? Does it mean I need to know coding? Because engineering has that kind of a perception in our brains. But let me tell you that prompt engineering is totally a non-technical skill, and you need these kind of dexterity in these kind of spaces to be able to construct a good prompt, and nothing else. You just need to know English language. Even if you don't know English, nowadays large language models are taking input even in other languages. You can even use voice input, but you need to have a good command of language communication, how to communicate. You should be creative, how you can craft the same prompt and recraft it so that you can get the desired output. That is called creativity. And critical thinking, whether the response that is coming out is correct or not, and how you can improve it. That is again critical thinking. And subject matter expertise. So as you are endocrinologist, as I assume on this call, so you can use LLMs for your endocrinology purpose in a very effective way, because you are subject matter experts. While some other person who is not an endocrinologist, they might be not able to understand if the model is hallucinating or giving wrong info. But for you guys, I think you are perfect to use any kind of a large language model. Don't worry if it's a medical or a non-medical large language model. You are subject matter experts and you can get good output from any kind of a model if you do correct prompt engineering. So let us see. This is an example prompt just to show you an example. There are different parts of a prompt, which you can maybe call elements. So as you can see, this is a prompt of 3-4 lines, and each line is like a element of the prompt where it is giving maybe a persona. Because why persona is important, let me tell you. Because ChatGPT is trained on large language. So it's almost trained on the entire internet. So it is as good a doctor, as good as it is an engineer, and as good as it is as an architect. But for your task, you don't need all three at the same time. So you have to correctly define the persona. For example, they have told act as a helpful tutor. So it will go and it will use that kind of language which it was trained on, which is specifically related to tutoring tasks. So it becomes better at the task which you are telling it to perform, and it will not be confused by other kind of data which is out there. So this is the purpose of giving a persona. So whenever you can, always try to give it a persona. For example, act like an endocrinologist with so many years of experience. So the more specific you are, the better kind of the results you will get. And nowadays there are something called custom GPTs which you can train for particular kind of task. So you can train maybe a custom GPT, one custom GPT as a researcher, one custom GPT as a newsletter writer, so one custom GPT as a social media content creator. So you can create different custom GPTs for different personas, but assuming you are using the normal model out there, which is ChatGPT 4.0, which most of you can get right out of the box. So you have to give it a persona. Second thing is objective. What you're trying to achieve. This is why I told you have to be very clear. I wanted to explain the process of photosynthesis. This is the task, but then I have to also give the audience and context. Like, who is it for? I can explain the same process of photosynthesis to a group of teachers. I can explain the same process of photosynthesis to maybe a student, 14-year-old student, or maybe to a 5-year-old child. But the output will be different in each case. And large language model doesn't know what you want unless you tell it what you want. So you have to assume that it's like a very good intern, but then it doesn't understand at all what you want. And whatever you write in this window is going to be what it is going to understand. So it gives an audience and a context. And then also it is important to set boundaries. If you let a very powerful thing loose, then it will do whatever it wants. So as you must have seen, even in kind of nuclear energy or other kind of technologies, they always have some kind of boundaries that this is the limit till which you have to do certain kind of a thing. So similarly, in a prompt, you have to give a limit that, okay, I just want 300 words, 200 words. If you don't do that, it will just give you something random depending on the usage which is happening right now on the model, or maybe it will just assume. So once it assumes, it will again go into bias. So if you want to even avoid bias and hallucination, it's very good to use boundaries. So I'll show you these on medical prompts, which you will understand. Being from endocrinology background, I have chosen examples from endocrinology. But three things are very important. Provide clear instructions. Divide your prompt into different parts. I know it's a tedious process, especially if you are looking for a fast kind of work. But please, if you have 5 hours to cut a tree, use the first 4.5 hours to sharpen your axe. And then maybe in 30 minutes, you'll be able to cut the tree complete. So that is how you should think about this process. Don't get bored off by writing a good prompt. Otherwise, you'll not get good results. As simple as that. Second thing, always provide context. We sometimes forget. We think that the ChatGPT knows what we want, but please, it's a blank canvas. It doesn't understand unless you have been talking to it for a long amount of time. Now it has a memory feature. But then again, every time, please try to provide context because it can change also. And finally, iterate and experiment. Unless you get your hands dirty, unless you, after this class, you go home and try a few large language models, try to prompt them, you will never become good at prompting because it's a skill like a surgeon. You have to keep cutting. If the day you stop cutting, you don't be a surgeon. Now, I was an anesthetist. Now, if you tell me today to go and give anesthesia to a patient, I've not been giving anesthesia for a few years now. So my hands might not be that kind of, the dexterity might not be there. I might not have those reflexes. So this is very important. This is foundation. What this slide is a foundation of whatever you are going to learn in the entire series, and it will prove very helpful to you thinking every time with such frameworks. But you can say that, okay, then I told you that creativity is a skill which is needed in prompting. So this is where creativity comes in. And you can say that why I should use a single framework. I maybe I will invent my own framework, or I will just use a framework which is available out there. So these are mnemonics. These are nothing but mnemonics to help you remember the components when you are writing the prompt. We used to have these mnemonics, right? Even in our medical exams, and I guess in endocrinology, especially, I think there are a lot of mnemonics out there. So this is nothing else. And you can use any one or two. Don't get confused and try to use everything. I will show you one of the frameworks which I personally like and I use it every single time. It is not about which framework you use, but how well you use a particular framework. So the first one which which is shown on the screen, which is called RACE, that is the best framework which I found, and I will show you a few examples using this framework how to make a prompt. And I would encourage you also, if you are sitting on a laptop or on a mobile and you have a laptop on your side, so just open whatever large language model you have like ChatGPT or Perplexity and try to replicate what they will be doing at your own pace. If you can't, then you can do it with the recording as well. So you have to set the scene, you have to be specific, simplify your language, structure your output, share feedback. So this is 5S model to help you remember. Then there are frameworks. Now let us see one framework, which is nothing but the same RACE framework. They have added S and F to make it more like better. And maybe you can add a few more alphabets if you find that helps you to make the prompt better. So this is not an exact science. It's still evolving. This might not be correct in maybe, as Dr. Om said, in 1 week of time or 2 weeks of time. Maybe we might have a superior kind of a framework. And I'll show you towards the end. Now there are reasoning models which are coming up, O3 mini, O1 mini, where these kind of frameworks are not needed. You just write in a simple language and it will give you good response. RASCF is nothing but short form for role, action, steps, context, examples, and format. So this is nothing but different parts of a prompt. And we'll see a few prompts and I will ask you to identify the parts. Although I cannot see the chat, but I want you all to please practice and do it. And I will also show you the correct answer. So you will come to know whether you are right or wrong. So let us see a few examples. So suppose you want to do patient education, you want to create a material, and I am sure many of you would be writing on ChatGPT when I used to do it. Create a PDF for a patient to explain hypothyroidism. So a single line prompt. And what it gives out to you is a generic kind of a summary, like a Wikipedia summary, which is absolutely useless and you don't want to give it to your patient. So how do you solve that problem? So this is a prompt that you are supposed to give. And now this prompt, just take a second to read through it and try to identify different parts of RASCEF: role, action, context, example, steps, format. They might be in different order also. It's not necessary that role should come first and action should come next. Might start with an action, but then all these things should be included in your prompt. Maybe if you can type in the chat, like from which word to which word you think it is the role. So you are an experienced endocrinologist skilled at explaining complex treatments in simple patient-friendly terms. And you need to prepare an easy to understand information sheet for a newly diagnosed hypothyroidism patient who has been prescribed levothyroxine. See the amount of detail that we are providing. We don't want to be non-specific. We want to create something specific because personalization, customization is the power of AI, and that is where we want to harness it. So also I've given steps. Start by explaining the role of thyroid hormones, why daily dosing is required, benefits of medication. So I'm guiding it. I'm telling it what to do. I'm not giving the control to AI, and that is what is called human in the loop. So this is what I'm trying to do. So I hope you have gone through this prompt. You have tried to identify some structure, some subparts. If you have not put in the chat, maybe you have put it on your brain. Let me move to the next slide and you can check if you are correct or maybe you were not able to identify. So the first line was the role. You are an experienced endocrinologist skilled at explaining complex treatments in simple patient-friendly terms. And then I put my action, what it needs to do. I gave it the steps. I gave it the context, who is it meant for, the audience, and then I gave it an example. For example, use analogies, use metaphors. So whenever you are creating some kind of a content, try to use these kind of words and try to give examples. So the AI will be able to do it better, in a better way. And finally, I also put some boundaries. You can see in a format, write the content at around 150 words using bullet points and short, simple sentence. I don't want to overwhelm my patient with information. I want to give him just a simple A4 sheet of paper, which they can go and they can read at home. So this is what I want to do. Let us see how it looks on ChatGPT. I will put the simple prompt. which most of us do. Even I do at times. I'm guilty of this. I completely agree. I'm also a human being. So create patient education material for a hypothyroid patient. Simple. So I've given no information, I've given no context, nothing. So see how bland the answer is coming out. And it is this anyone can get from internet, and even the patient won't come to you for this. Maybe they're expecting something more focused, better and personalized to them. Although now ChatGPT has improved and now it gives cues. Okay, how do you want to improve it? So it is telling you the next step. But before this thing, it was not there, and we had to accept the output as it was, or we had to start a new chat and then do it in another window with a better prompt. So this is you saw with a simple prompt, and now let us see the prompt which we wrote and how output comes in that. So just have a look and try to compare, try to have a contrast. So I've put the same prompt now, which we discussed just now, and see how well it is crafting it. It has made the language very simple, which is easy for patient to understand. It has used metaphor. Sorry. Mm. So you can see now, let me show you side by side. This is what you got with single line of prompt, which was like useless. It would have taken me so many hours to reach what we got on the right side. And just by sharpening my axe for a bit more amount of time, I was able to cut the tree in a better way. So this is just to show you the power of prompting. I will show you one more example and we'll go through it fast for the sake of time. This is another example for literature review. Dr. Om will be covering in detail, but just to show you how to craft a prompt, he might show you in a different way. And nothing is wrong, nothing is right. It just depends on the level of comfort and the experience that you get with the kind of framework that you are using and ease of use. That's all. So this is another prompt. So let us try to identify in this also. Let me give you a few seconds. Just go through the prompt, act as a medical research assistant. This time we are trying to find insights on the research topic. So the role will be relevant to that. It will be a medical research assistant, not an endocrinologist. Then I want to summarize the findings, and I have told it identify top peer reviewed studies. I'm giving too much details. Then example I'm giving how to go if you come across a study and how to go through it, and then the format. So let's see the structure. So this is how you should try to write a prompt. And if you come across a prompt, try to break it down into these parts: role, action, steps, context, examples. This will help you think in a structured manner. And this is the only difference between doctors and coders, let me tell you. Coders are able to break down complex things into simple one steps, and that is called first principles thinking. And that is what is needed to build a kind of good prompt. That is the exact skill that is needed. And I think now with the English language, it becomes easy because they do it using coding languages, but we are supposed to do it using English, which is still easy. Now let me show you fastly what output comes. So this is single line prompt. Again, I did some lazy prompting. I was not in a mood to write the complete prompt. And I thought, let ChatGPT do the work for me and see how it has done. It has given very bland kind of an output with whatever headings it came up with. It wanted to just show me and some links. So this is like useless, right? It's nothing for a person like a doctor who wants to give good results. Maybe write it as a research. Yeah, Einstein, yes. So Dr. Om is good at quoting and telling us names of historical personalities. So let us now see if I put the good prompt. This was the bad prompt, and now I am putting the good prompt, which is what I showed you. And let us now see how it creates a difference. So I've given the format and everything. So now first see it is searching the web because it feels it needs to do that to get good output, and see how it is now given very nice analysis, leading comparisons, strengths and observed gaps, strategic takeaways, and summary with citations. So this is something which I can use as a medical professional, right? That the earlier one, let me contrast to you again on the same screen so that you can understand the difference. This is something which is very bland. This is something which a patient might do a search on ChatGPT, but definitely not useful for a medical professional. You will want to go deep, and if you sharpen your axe a bit more and write a good prompt, maybe you can get the result within the single prompt itself. So this is just to show you the contrast. So I hope by now you are very clear in what are prompts, what is prompt engineering, what is good prompt, what is bad prompt, what is the structure of a prompt, what are prompt frameworks. I showed you a prompt framework, then I showed you a few examples. You saw the results on screen, how it looks. You can, of course, if you haven't tried this with me, maybe you can try it later on. We'll share all the prompts. Don't worry. And we'll do an exercise also towards the end where you will craft a prompt with me. You will do it on your screen and I'll show you from my screen. So prompt engineering, now next 5 minutes or so, I want to just give you a few more terminologies which you will come across. Don't get confused as medical professionals. This is nothing, just like some names of some methodologies which we also use in the medical science. You don't need to get overwhelmed and confused. This is nothing but types of prompting which was introduced because we didn't have such advanced large language models before, but now we have very good large language models. So this thing is now going out. But you need to know the terms. So there's something called zero shot prompting, there's something called few shot prompting, and chain of thought prompting. So let me show you by example so you understand better. So this is single zero shot prompting because here what you are doing is you are just asking a question. You are not giving any example, you are not giving any kind of reasoning, and you are not expecting any kind of reasoning. It gives you simple answer. Sometimes this answer might be correct, this answer sometimes might be completely wrong. The model might hallucinate, although it has reduced now. And with reasoning models, if you give this kind of a prompt, it's still okay. It will still give you the reasoning behind what it came the answer, or like how it went through the steps. But this is called a zero shot prompting. This is one shot prompt, a few shot prompt. Now you will understand the difference. You compare the two sides. Left side, you didn't give any example. You just asked the question. On the right side, you first gave few question answer sets, like one or two question answer examples. And then you ask the third question. And then the answer came in a similar kind of a format. So this is called few shot prompting. Few shot means few examples. You are giving few examples before asking the question. And finally, chain of thought prompting. Here, when the large language models came out before, it was very much difficult to understand what is going on behind the scene. They used to give correct answer, they used to give wrong answer, and we didn't used to know what is happening. So then they devised a methodology where you give it a reasoning. So you give it an example of question answer, and in the answer, you show it how to reason. And similarly, when you ask a question, it will similarly reason, and you will be able to catch the mistake, or you'll be able to understand how it is coming to the answer. So this was something which was used to uncover the kind of reasoning behind the model, and this was called chain of thought prompting. So it is nothing but a way of making a non-reasoning model into a reasoning model, as you can say simply. So that was what it was doing. So this was three types of prompting, and prompt engineering process, as I told you, it has to be iterative. Never expect the best result in one go in your first prompt. Even if you have sharpened your axe nicely, still please keep some time for recrafting, iteration, even further sharpening your thing. So that is a continuous process. And once you get a good prompt, as Dr. Om said, we'll be building a prompt library. So if you have a good prompt, share with your community. Now there are many directories online also. Also, you can make a folder on your on your device, and or in a Google Doc, you can keep all the prompts. Or you can make in a notes, Google Notes. There is some kind of apps, note making apps, where you can put these prompts so that you can search them whenever you need them. So this is how prompt engineering and prompt learning should happen. It should not be one-off activity. It should be like a continuous process. Also building your library. And I want to show you this one thing. Some people ask me, can ChatGPT help me improve my prompt? Yes, this is a hidden secret. Not just ChatGPT, even Claude and other models. And also there are some custom GPTs. One is like Prompt Perfect. You can go and you can put your lazy prompt and you can get your good prompt template, so to say. But I would say always try to do this activity yourself. Don't outsource it unless you're short on time or you're out of ideas and you need more ideas, because this will not help you sharpen your skill. It will only give you instant dopamine and it will not be of any use. So you can see it has created a detailed prompt out of my single line, which I can again further I can improve by putting more information. And one another way is to let the ChatGPT ask you questions. So when you have a task, just put the task and tell ChatGPT to ask you some clarifying questions. That is also a good way to get a good prompt. If you're not good at crafting the prompt in the first go, your conversation with ChatGPT will convert into a prompt making process. So that is another way which I wanted to show you. Now, Finally, before we move to the exercise, I just want to show you a few tips and tricks. This is a paper, it's available out there on Medical Futurist, and I'll be happy to share the link, and maybe Dr. Om can upload the link on the LMS also. Just I'll go through it fast so that we have discussed a lot of things in the last 25 minutes, but then just to recapture everything, especially in the context of healthcare prompt engineering. So there is no ultimate tool. Every tool is good. As I told you, it depends on your prompt. Whichever tool suits you best, just use that. And especially for the task, and use the correct prompt for each kind of a model. I will show you the reasoning models towards the end, where you will see that only single line prompts will do. So don't go for such detailed prompts in those models, otherwise you will not get good results. Be as specific as possible. So this is just an example how to be more specific, from heart disease to coronary artery disease. So in your case, maybe from an endocrine disorder to what endocrine disorder, and even maybe within that, what kind of subtype of that disorder. So that will get you better answers. Describe your goal. Always have that goal in your mind first and then communicate it to the machine. Describe your setting, provide context. We saw how to do that. So never forget, especially in case of healthcare, because the context might change, and slight change in context might change the output and the desired thing that you want. Different prompt styles. Try different prompt styles. Sometimes ask a direct question, sometimes request a list, sometimes a summary. So keep changing, keep experimenting. Sometimes you are surprised yourself that how did this happen. Ask it to play roles. This already we discussed. And iterate or refine to delve deeper. Always iterate. Consider it as a chatting. Why it is named Chat GPT? Because it's a conversation. It's a chat process. It's not something like a Alibaba Chirag, this Aladdin ka Chirag. That just you give your wish and it will come out with a thing. It's not that. It's something which is a conversing kind of a colleague with you. You have to converse with it to get better responses. Always use your previous thread. So whenever you see you do a Chat GPT chat, that gets saved on your left side of the screen. So you can revisit it later. So you can save time because you don't have to do it again from scratch. And you can always save them with particular name. Nowadays, you also have something called as a projects, where you can club all the chats related to a particular project in one place. Always ask open-ended questions, just like you must have seen some criminal justice and all those series on internet. So they always ask open-ended questions so that the witness is not able to dodge or fool us. So similarly, you have to ask open-ended questions. And even sometimes I ask ChatGPT, explain to me how you came up with this answer. And then it's very interesting to see how it gives reasoning, just like a child sometimes. Or try to do all these things. Always give examples. And one thing very important, time is a very important factor. ChatGPT doesn't understand what is today, what is tomorrow, what is yesterday. You have to give it a date. Today is 10th June. So tomorrow, then you use tomorrow. So then it will understand, okay, tomorrow is 11th June. So whenever you are giving this kind of time related things, always be careful. ChatGPT doesn't know the time. This is because of some kind of a technology which is going on in the back end. Maybe it will improve with time or it has improved, I don't know. But then this is the trick or workaround. And always set realistic expectations. Still, there is hallucinations. There will always be hallucinations, even if you have the best kind of prompting in the world, best model in the world, it will never be zero. Even human beings are not true all the time. Even we tend to sometimes mince our words. So always set realistic expectations. Try to use multiple models, try to use better prompting, and that is how you improve. So now let's move to the live exercise. Before last 2 minutes of, I'll show you this reasoning model. So I want you to open whatever model you have on your mobile phone, on your laptop, somewhere. And if you have any kind of a PDF document, which is a paper, I'm sure all of us are reading papers on a daily basis, and we have lots of WhatsApp groups where there are papers around there. So just download a paper and we will apply the RSCF framework. I'll show you the prompt and I'll show you the prompt, but I want you to build it step by step. First, give the role. So maybe give it the role of some kind of a researcher or something, or an endocrinology specialist. Then you give it an action to summarize a research paper. Steps you can give, go step by step from methodology to results to conclusion, and then give me bullet points. That will be the format. And if you have an example, you can give an example, maybe using IMRAD framework or something like that. So that is how you will craft the prompt. So while you do it, I will do it here for the next 2 minutes, and then let us see the results. And if you are not able to do it, don't worry, you will see it on my screen and you can repeat it later on. I will give you all the prompts, don't worry. And just you have to go through the framework. So you have to think role, action, steps, context, examples, and format. Okay. So I'll just stop sharing a bit and I'll go to and I'll copy the prompt. Okay. So let me go back sharing. Okay. And I go to ChatGPT. For example, I just want to show you from ChatGPT. You can use any model. So I have crafted a prompt. I will write it and I'll go through it step by step so that you can also replicate it. You might not be able to write in so much detail, but just you can write in simple lines, but try to include everything. So I have written act as a medical research assistant. So I've given it a role. So you can give it a role, anything. Then specialize in endocrinology. So this is the role till here. This is the role. Now the action. Summarize the key findings of the research paper. This is broad action, which I want. I will give more details in the steps. So begin by outlining the study design, primary methods, main results, and key conclusions in clear, concise language. So even if you don't give this step, it's okay. You can mention it as an extension of the action itself. Summarize the key findings of the research paper, starting from design method. So you can include these parts so that it doesn't miss anything and it gives you everything clearly. Then I give it context. The summary is meant for endocrinologists who need a quick evidence snapshot for clinical decision making. So I am using for clinical decision making. You might want it to write to submit to a journal to write a paper. You might use it to educate your patient. So whatever is your intention, you can write that intention here. Use the IMRAD structure. So there's something called IMRAD structure: introduction, methodology, inserts, and discussion. So I've given it example to follow. And I've also told include some metrics like HbA1c and all those things, and present the output as bullet points. So format. So I have given it a role, I've given it an action, I've given it steps, I have given it the context, I have given it the example, how I want, and I have given it the format. So this is a complete prompt. You might have one or two parts missing. Sometimes it's okay. You can add those in the later kind of iterations. But this is, I am showing you the complete thing. So that is why I have done it. And always don't forget to add the file. So I have a PDF I was reading today. So it's a paper related to diabetes. So let's see, most of you must have gone through this paper and you will immediately recognize this once I click it. I hope you have got a PDF, uploaded it on your chat GPT or anywhere, and then you have maybe crafted not this kind of a perfect prompt, but at least 3 or 4 parts of that framework which we discussed, and you are ready to click this and let us see how it does. So it is reading the documents and it is giving me summary of key findings in IMRAD format as I told it. It is giving me the study titles, which is a high dose semaglutide up to 16 milligram in people with type 2 diabetes. It is published in Diabetes Care, recent paper. So it has given me bullet points. It has taken care of 300 words. It has gone step by step into each section, and you can see it is writing. So this is not an abstract. This is something which is quite detailed, if you ask me, in comparison to an abstract. And it is very structured. Summary, you can also modify it. And you see it also suggests, would you like me to create a 150-word clinical quick reference summary? So this is something which ChatGPT has added now because it understands people stop iterating, they take the output as it is. So let me tell it to do it for me by the time you guys are able to do it. Yes, please. So now see, it has gone more further, summarized it more and given a more crisp summary now. So I can use it maybe to craft a post for myself or maybe share it to my colleagues on WhatsApp or whatever. So I can do this. So this is just a simple use case of showing you how to summarize, and you will be seeing much more in the literature review kind of section. And I think just to not overshoot, I'll just finish my part. This is something called Notebook NM, which also Dr. Om will show you. But I just wanted to give you a gist because the kind of prompting needed for Notebook NM kind of things is a bit different. You don't need to do such kind of detailed prompting. So this is good news, people. Whatever you learned till now, you might not need it so much in times to come. You'll be having better tools. So this is somewhere where you can add a lot of PDFs. You can access this using the QR code, this tool. And once you put your PDFs, you can simply chat in the language how you do to a friend. And also there are suggested questions on the right side. You can see there are single line questions. So you don't need a detail prompt because it already has the context. It already has the document from where it will go and such. So you need not do that kind of prompting which we learned. This is just a variation which I wanted to show you. And finally, the reasoning models, these have come up, which is something called ChatGPT 4.0, which you all are using, but there's something called ChatGPT 0.3. and O4 Mini. These are newer models, which are reasoning models. So just let me show you. Even for research, deep research models, you use the same kind of prompting. So a single line, 60-year-old male with uncontrolled diabetes present with fever, so and what are the red flags and how you would proceed. So this is simple thing which I'm asking, just like I would have asked to my medical colleague, and see how it is thinking now with such a single prompt, and it is now thinking, and then it is going ranking, working differential. So it is doing all those things. And some reasoning models also show you the steps, what it went through. So you can also audit the steps which happened. So you must have seen this was a very different kind of a prompting to get this kind of a response. So this is nothing but a reasoning model. So you keep prompts simple and direct. You avoid chain of thought prompting, which I showed you. You use delimiters for clarity, as specific as concise as possible. Start with zero shot prompting, no example, nothing. Provide specific guidelines, which guideline you want to follow. Be explicit about your end goal, and high level guidance works. So this is something which is new. I'm telling you to unlearn everything which you learned till now, but only for reasoning models. If you are still using a non-reasoning model, or everything which we learned holds true. And last example I will show you before I hand to Dr. Hum. I hope I have not overshot my time. So for a hypertensive patient with CKD proteinuria, compare ACE inhibitor and ARBs, include mechanism pro. So see, such a simple prompt, only 2 lines. This you can write even while maybe sitting in your maybe in your bed, also sleeping. You can just put it and see it how it is searching. It is showing you the steps. So this is something which it pulls in if it feels that it needs to go to the internet and find out guidelines. So it is now doing that kind of research, and I'll just show you the result. So see, now it has come up with such kind of a write up. So it has thought for 27 seconds, and it is giving you all the references, everything. And this is not deep research actually. This is a reasoning model output by using a prompt. Deep research is something totally different. It takes bit of time and more sources it searches. So you can see the sources all are from good quality kind of journals, NEJM and PubMed index. So this is something called a prompting a reasoning model. And with that I end, and I would say only one thing, that it is just practice. It's just practice. It's just the how many times you do it. There's no kind of magic around it. There's no one who can come and teach you this in 20 minutes or 30 minutes or 40 minutes. They can give you the principles on how to do it, but then you have to do it and get the hands dirty. And just writing 1 or 2 prompts won't help. Maybe try to do it a few minutes every day. So that is my advice to all of you, and all the best for the remaining modules. And I myself, I might be starting this by teaching you, but then let me tell you, I will be the also one of the learners with you on the remaining modules, because learning is evolving. So keep learning, keep evolving. Thank you so much. Back to you, Dr. Oh.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Avneesh, for a detailed discussion on prompt. And I think thank you. I think I haven't heard a more detailed prompting lecture. So thank you, Avneesh. Beautiful. And as the point I was making about Einstein was that Einstein said that if I had an hour to solve a problem, which you talked about in terms of sharpening the axe, right? So if I had an hour to solve a problem and my life depended on it, I would use the first 55 minutes determining the proper question asked. But once I know the proper question, I could solve the problem in less than 5 minutes. Think about it. He said this way back, right? How relevant it is in today's world, right? If you could write the right prompt, if you spend 55 minutes writing the right prompt, your response from ChatGPT or any other AI tool that you use is going to be just so works well in today's world. Thank you, Dr. Avneesh. We had some very interesting questions. We'll discuss some of them in the while, and I'll just allow you to unmute and people to ask questions at the end. Just wait through. A lot of you have asked very interesting questions, but remember, this is just the first lecture. We have a long way to go. So I think if there will be a lot of questions which will get answered there, please have patience for that, wait for it, and we will be able to go. Thank you, Dr. Avneesh. And let me then take you to the second lecture for today from me. Just give me 1 second. Yeah. Can somebody confirm? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. So you learned about prompting. Okay. Now you're going to see how you can practically use it in your clinical practice, right? Like I said, it's going to be hands-on. So I want you to pull out your computers, laptops, or any device that you're using. And I want you to work with me for this, right? So we are going to do it live. In fact, I just kept placeholders. The rest of the lecture is going to be actually a live demonstration rather than an actual, just a recorded version of it, right? So we're going to do it live. So we are going to make, you'll also see the mistakes which we make, right? And you'll be learning from that also. Before that, a quick poll we had. So I just want you to answer this poll question. For my curiosity and for your knowledge, which of these tools do you have and do you pay for it? I specifically want to know, are you paying for it? The reason why I'm asking you that are you paying for it is because some of the things I'm going to show you will require a paid version of the application which you're using. Okay. So the free version may not give you the entire set of the thing. I think gone are the times. I still remember when we were students, we used to not have any money at all and we paid for nothing. But now, as consultants, it's always a good idea. Indians tend to not pay for software. I think it's a very important time that you actually pay for it, because if you pay for it, you will be getting some things extra, which is going to really literally change your workflow and save you a lot of time. So a lot of you are answering this, and most of you have said that you are paying for ChatGPT. Some of you are paying for Gemini. Perplexity is also taking shape here. Not many people are paying for Claude, and I think you're making a mistake. Dr. Avneesh knows how much I love Claude. So I'm going to show you all of these things, right? Okay. So what we're going to do is we are going to use AI for doing a literature review. Okay. Now, where would you do a literature review? Everywhere, right? So if you're writing a research paper, there is a section where you'll have a discussion. If you're writing a thesis, there is literally a literature review, which is a component of a thesis. So literature review you're going to do. In fact, just for gaining knowledge, you'll be doing literature review, right? So it's everywhere, right? Now, literature review is something which we all do. Now, there are two things. One is two aspects, two subsections of it. One is conducting the actual research. Second is collating the research and doing research from your research, right? So that's part. Part one is conducting the research and second is collating the research. We'll see both the parts, and I'm going to show you some tools which you should be using and which are going to be useful in your practice. And in fact, by end of this lecture, trust me, Dr. Sona was just talking about one of the lectures which we had earlier and how much it saved her time in the subsequent week. Trust me, if you get this right, you are going to save a lot of time, energy, and efforts in the upcoming weeks. And time is money, right? So that's the key point, right? Okay. So let's subdivide the task into three things, right? So this was a two-step process. You could do a three-step process. So you could either generate an outline, then conduct a deep research for the individual outline, and then subsequently you can collate and write. For example, let's say I am talking about GLP-1RA, use of GLP-1RA in MSLD. So I could then identify the key questions, subsections. So I'll do an introduction. Then I'll do what is GLP-1RA, which are the available GLP-1RAs in the market today. What is MSLD? What is the current definition of MSLD? We'll see the clinical studies where GLP-1 have been used in MSLD. We'll see the current treatment regime for MSLD. So you make subtopics and then you do individual topics, you do research and then collate it. Or you could do straight away in a two-step process. So these are the two options that you have in terms of how you want to structure your journey. But it's all up to you. There is no right or wrong way. The way which you have is your way, right? Okay, so this is the topic, right? So let's say there are two ways of doing this process, right? Now, we are actually going to do the research ourselves. So we'll take this step forward. So these are the tools which I use, right? I'm going to show you all of them. It is going to take a little time, but I'm going to show you all of them. Then you can use any one of these or all of them, your choice. I would say if you're paying for it, choose one. I'll show you all of them, see what works for your work case better, right? We'll keep it open. All of them will have some sort of a payment structure except for Storm by Stanford, which is a completely free one. Okay. So these are the steps for researching. We'll do the research. And then what are the steps for collating the research? For collating the research, the free tool, the best, the GOAT of the greatest of all time tool is Google Notebook LM. Lot of it is free, completely free for use. I think it's everybody's favorite tool. Avneesh loves it. I know that for a fact. We have Arjit, who is here. He loves it. He uses Google Notebook LM a lot. So there are a lot of people anybody who has touched Google Notebook LM, they just love it, right? It's just instant love. Then there are similar tools like for Perplexity, it's called Perplexity Spaces, Claude and ChatGPT have projects. So you can use those as well. I'm sure you those things as well. So let's start with the topic. And the topic we have is role of GLP-1RA in management of MSLD. That's the topic. Let's say we are writing a mini review article on that, narrative review article. So this is the prompt. Please taught to you in detail about prompting. So you will be able to identify some of the structures of the prompt here. What I'm saying is, I am an endocrinologist. I'm writing a mini review on the topic role of GLP-1 RA in the management of MSLD. The readers are going to be expert endocrinologists. So I'm also defining my audience. Please conduct an extensive literature review from reliable sources on the topic. Now, some of you have asked me, are the references correct? Are they reliable? We'll answer those questions here, right? We'll answer those questions. So this is the best approach, which is a one-shot approach, right? You could do another way. You could use primary sources. So let's, instead of actually doing the research, outsourcing the research to a large language model, what we could do is we could ask it to give us good, reliable sources, and then we do our own research. So here, for example, I said, I'm an endocrinologist. I'm writing a mini review article on role of GLP-1 RA in management of MSLD. The readers will be expert endocrinologists. Please give me useful research articles on the topic, right? So I'm asking for it to give me research articles. I'm not asking it to do the research on behalf of me. I want you to search for articles published in the last 5 years in reputed medical journals. Both narrative review and any clinical studies are acceptable. Please give the output in a table form. So I'm saying, just give me a table, serial number, article title, authors, year of publication, and link to the article. We'll see examples of all of these in a minute. Okay. So this is another way of doing it. I'll show you all the examples, so don't worry about it. I'm just going through a presentation so that we can then show you live stuff. Okay. Then you could, let's say you want an outline, right? So we talked about GLP-1 RA in MSLD. So let's say I'm an endocrinologist. This is a topic. Please give me subtopics that will help me in my comprehensive review. So it will look at the subtopics and it will give you the suggestions for subtopics. So this is a prompt for that. Just keep this prompts in mind. We have all of these things on Technology platform. So you'll find this presentation there. So you'll be able to copy these prompts and use it, right? Now, like I said, all of these tools have a paid version and a free version. It's a freemium model for all of them. But I would suggest that try to use one paid version, because why it's important? Because if you do that, you will get the full features of it, right? Perplexity has Perplexity Labs and Deep Research, which you will have to pay for it. But as I understand, very interestingly, Airtel has come up with some sort of a collaboration with Perplexity, where you get the Perplexity Pro, which is the paid version of Perplexity, completely free of charge for 1 year. So if you're not doing that, and if you have an Airtel subscription, you should get it, right? Google has Google Deep Research, which has a paid version. Again, very value for money, because a lot of you pay for space, for cloud storage for Google. And instead of paying for the cloud storage for Google, pay for Google Gemini. And if you pay for Google Gemini, you get 1 terabyte of cloud storage, which you actually share with your family also. So it's a shareable cloud storage. So it's a great deal. Claude is my favorite tool. It's a connoisseur's tool, right? Again, cost similar to Perplexity, but when you use it, actually the token price is much higher. So it actually use up a lot of the tokens, but it's fine. Having said that, it's the best tool for it. Then, of course, there are specialized tools for research. We are not going to do that. I don't see a lot of other people will say that I use Consensus, ResearchRabbit, Site, etc. I don't use them. The current large language models are actually way better than the specialized tools that are there at present, because they don't add any value. If you find more value in these individual tools, you should probably use it. I'm not going to show you these tools. You can search it yourself and you can try to use it in your own way, but explore if you find it better than thing, and come back and tell me, oh, Consensus is better than the other things you're using. So maybe I'll switch to that. I'm very happy to take my words back. But as of now, I don't find great value in these tools, but at the same time, they could be there, right? So let's do the step 1 and let's do live demonstration. And we are going to talk about GLP-1. We're going to research about GLP-1 RA in MSLD. So this is the prompt. I'm just going to copy my prompt. Okay. Now, we'll use this in different places. Okay. I've not done this before, so it will take a little while. So let's start with the one which is going to take more time, which is Google Gemini, right? So in Google Gemini, you can see the screen here for Gemini. Okay. So this is the Google Gemini. Let's pull it up, right? What I'm having is paid version of all of that. So you may not have exactly the same image and everything in your system, depending on how, what tier you are in. But I'm going to show you the highest tier of everything. So you can have a great idea of how these things works. And if you find any of them useful, you use it, right? So I just copied and pasted this prompt here. Okay. Now here you can see on the bottom, there is something called Deep Research. So for research purpose, I use Deep Research, right? So I'm going to click on Deep Research and I'm going to click Submit. And then it starts the deep research process. Now, what it's going to do is, it is going to pull out some questions. It's a thinking model. Please introduce you to the thinking reasoning models. It's Google Gemini Pro is a reasoning model. So it is going to think that, look, this guy is an endocrinologist, is asking for this review. what are the questions which he wants to answer. It will ask me some questions, and when I answer this question, we'll start doing the research. Okay. So it'll take some time. We'll allow it to cook. Okay. So there you go. So it is putting a research plan, right? Here's the research plan. Let me know if you want any changes. So it is asking me whether I want to change. So this is the plan. So it is going to look at the research websites. It is going to analyze the research. It is then going to create a report. It will be ready in a few minutes. Okay. So let's do start research. Okay. So I can actually edit the plan also here. I can edit it and ask it to do in a different way, but that's fine. So now it has started doing the research. So it is doing the thinking process. You can see the show thinking, right? So it will start showing up the thinking process once the research starts. Okay. So there you go. So here it is doing the thinking. You can actually see the brains behind it. You can see the thinking process behind it. So it says understanding MSLD and GLP-1. I'm starting my research by building a foundational knowledge of MSLD. In fact, you could probably do these things on your own. Then look, it is looking at research websites, all these websites it is looking at, right? So it is pulling up these websites and all. It will do the task. So let's wait for it to do the task. Okay. Now, let's look at another tool. Meanwhile, we'll allow it to do the task, right? So let's look at another tool. Let's look at the one which is open for me, which is Claude. So same thing, I'm going to put in Claude. And again, Claude has something called research here, right? So it is going to search for, just click on research and search, it will do that, right? Now, of course, we'll allow it to do that. But meanwhile, let me show you, I'm not going to pull that up right now. I'm going to show you one research which we already done. So I'm looking at this mini review which I was contemplating writing. That is the role of DHEAS in adrenal insufficiency. So this is the research which it has done already for me, right? This is the research, right? So it's done a comprehensive review on this topic. So DHEAS in adrenal insufficiency diagnosis, a comprehensive review. So it has looked at the entire thing, entire review. I can then directly publish this, or I can copy it, or I can save it as a PDF. Right? I can save it as a PDF and then read it in detail. Now, a lot of you have asked is that, are the sources reliable? Gone are the days, right? Gone are the days when things used to be hallucinating. Currently, all of these tools have now integrated search with that. So every point it is going to tell you, it is going to reference it. It is going to tell you the reference for it. Here you can see it has taken this line over here. Recent large-scale studies demonstrate that DHEAS achieves diagnostic accuracy equivalent to baseline cortisol with the area under curve while offering unique clinical advantages. It is saying that, and it is giving you some sort of a link to it. So you can go there. This is the actual source from which it has taken this detail. So you can read this article also. You can say whether this article is reliable or not, right? So every line it has taken, it is giving you where it is taken from. It is not hallucinating. It is not hallucinating. I repeat, it's not hallucinating. It is giving you an actual source and you can verify the source, right? So you can go and verify the source. Yes, you could argue that Helio is not a reliable source, but there are ways to circumvent that also. I'll show you that as well, right? This, of course, we did we should say lazy prompting. I would say lazy research. That is what we're done. Okay. Now, let's go to another tool, which is very commonly used. That is the Publicity. Now, we'll use a different prompt here. Now, Publicity is, again, used to be my favorite tool for a long time. It still is. But Publicity. So again, if there is one tool which you should consider paying for, and if Airtel doesn't give you a free subscription, probably it should be Publicity. Because Publicity is one jugaad. It's from by an Indian developer. So it's a jugaad in true sense. It is going to give you everything at a price which you will pay for in ChatGPT. So it's that way, it's great. So here, our jugaad tool has three options. This is the regular search option. This is the deep research. What you see here is deep research. And third is an agentic AI platform called, which is fantastic, which is called Perplexity Labs. Okay. So this is the third option here. You can, in fact, look at select sources also. So you can say, I want to search for the web, or you can say, I just want to look at academic publications, right? So you can actually narrow it down to just academic publication. You can say, I just want the response from social media. That is also possible, right? You can, of course, use voice mode for research, right? You can attach files. So you can upload your own sources also if you want, right? So these are the options which you could narrow it down to, right? And here you can. So let's look at another source here, and I'll show you some examples of how, where Perplexity has already worked on a topic earlier. I'll show you some examples of that. But before that, let me then take another prompt. And remember, if we had taken a prompt for research where we looked at, instead of looking at doing the research yourselves, we probably wanted to find sources for us, right? So let's use the Perplexity search for that purpose instead of doing the actual research. Okay, so let me just copy this prompt. So this is the prompt. So like I said, I am an endocrinologist. I'm writing a mini review on and I just give me the good articles for that, right? So this is what we are looking at. Let's go and copy and paste this prompt in. Perplexity. I'm just using Perplexity regular. I'm not using deep research or Perplexity labs. So I'm just doing that. And let's hit search. Again, I'm saying this is all being done live. I have no control over the response, but here you go. So it is now looking at the articles, right? GLP-1 RA and GCGR, GLP-1 receptor agonist, right? The dual agonist there, or GLP-1, GIP-1 RA. So it's looking at these articles. It is saying that these could be potential articles which you could use, right? So let's look at the first one. It is now said serial number, article, author, year, and link. So let's look at this. And this article from Dr. Anmol Singh, right? So this is an article from Nashville, United States. These are all the things, novel therapeutic agents for metabolic MSLD. So this is one article. So it's a great article. You can see in a good journal, right? So you could use this article. Okay. Then let's look at the other articles that it showed you, right? So you can actually, all of them, it is giving you the link. So these are all articles you could read and get your responses from, right? Only one catch. Remember, it is not going to access the paid articles. It is only going to give you free articles. So the open source free articles are the ones you're going to get. You're not going to get the paid ones, which is okay, fair enough. It is probably going to look at the abstracts of the paid ones, but it can't give you the full article, which is naturally, because it is behind a paywall, right? So it gives me 13 articles. All of these articles are great. I could actually individually read all these articles now or download them and put it on Google Notebook LM and so on. So this is the other way of doing it, right? So this is another way of looking at this. Now, let me show you one more cool aspect. This is called Perplexity Spaces. And some of you who have attended some of my articles earlier, some of my talks earlier, you would see that there is something called Perplexity Spaces, in which you can narrow it down to allow Perplexity just to search from PubMed and not from any other source, right? For example, we saw that the article which you're developing, Claude actually searched from Helio. It looked at some other sources. We don't want it to do that. We don't want it to search from Helio. We don't want it to search it from Reddit. We don't want to search it from Facebook. We want to search it from PubMed only. So how you can do that, right? So here, this is a private space. And so you can actually create your own spaces. And the space, what you have to do is you have to narrow it down to just from you just want to search it from PubMed, right? So here I've already given a prompt. So PubMed space 2, restricting medical literature search from PubMed. I've given a prompt also. I'm an endocrinologist. You are an expert medical researcher. I want you to research for articles based on credible medical literature. Sorry for my spelling. From PubMed, the result should be verifiable. It should be high quality medical research. The audience are mainly expert doctors. So again, it's a good prompt, right? I've written this prompt and here I can restrict it to just PubMed. So you can see some of the research which I have done. It has looked at mainly sources from PubMed. Sometimes it looks at secondary sources. So if PubMed references an article, it probably goes and looks at these articles, right? So this is called Perplexity Spaces. You can actually create, this is another one which we have created, right? So here, you can see here, I've narrowed it down to just the space, right? The sources will just be this, right? So I put a link to PubMed, right? And I said, I just want to, I could put my link to, let's say, endocrinology.co.in. So we have this notes in endocrinology thing. So I can say, just search from notes in endocrinology, for example, right? So this could be a way you could delete this, or you could add your own files. So for example, all the articles that we connected, I can just add those articles over here and then ask it to search only from these articles, right? And it will search only from the articles which we have uploaded and it will not search from elsewhere, right? So this is how you can restrict and narrow it down. This is called guardrails. You'd hear this just like the term prompting. You'd hear this term a lot in AI world. It's called guardrail. So I'm putting a guardrail. I'm saying that I just want you to look at these things. I don't want you to look at outside this space, right? So that is one way of doing it, right? Now, let me show you an example of Perplexity Labs, which is an agentic AI system. Remember, we talked about DHES. We actually use Perplexity Labs to make an article on DHES, right? So there you go. Right. So this here, you can see the prompt I've given. I'm an endocrinologist. I'm writing a mini review article on the role of measurement of DHES in diagnosis of adrenal insufficiency. The expert will other experts. Please conduct an extensive review, right? So it has looked at the sources. You can see most of the sources are from good, reliable sources, right? So here you go. Okay, now it has written all this article. Now, every point it has given the link, right? So you can actually look at this and you can biochemical diagnosis of adrenal insufficiency, the added value of DHES measurement, right? So it is giving you this link. You can actually go back and verify these articles, right? So you can look at this, right? It done this entire research for me in great detail, right? So this was one, with this one more, which we had. Let's see if I have that. Yeah, so this was where we use deep research. There's one where we use Perplexity Labs. I'm not sure where I can find it in this one or somewhere else. Let me see. We'll look for it. Meanwhile, What I'll do is I'll actually give one task to Perplexity Labs and we'll allow it to cook while we do it. Right. So remember the GLP-1 RA article. Let's ask it to do the whole thing. You can actually literally ask it to write a mini review. So we'll do that. Okay. Yeah. Prompt. Okay. So the same prompt we are going to put. I am writing a mini review on this topic. The readers will be expert endocrinologists. Please conduct an extensive literature review from Rela. Instead of this, let's say, please write the mini review for me. I'm going to submit this to IJEM. So please write it accordingly. Okay. So let's just do that. We'll allow it to do it. So this is Perplexity Labs. Now it is going to take 8 minutes to finish this. So it is doing the whole research, everything. It will write, it will in fact generate some images also and do everything, right? Now you will say that, oh, what is the ethics of that? We'll discuss ethics in some other time. We are going to do that in one of the later lectures, but we'll come to that topic, right? Okay, now let's go back to Gemini. So remember we had asked Gemini for a task. So this is the task, right? So GLP-1 R and MSLD, you can see it has done the whole research work, right? You can see the entire research it has done. It's a long and beautiful research which is done, right? Now you can actually export this to Google Docs, right? So you can just export this. I'm going to share this file with you and I want a lot of experts in from endocrinology here to tell me how good or bad it is, right? So yes, of course, it's not going to be perfect. Nothing is perfect, right? But please remember, and I remember giving this talk almost 2 years back at one of the West Bengal's endocrine conference. And I said, guys, this is like your first year DM resident. So you can expect a lot of work from first year DM resident, but you can't expect it to be the level of a consultant. Now it's your third year DM resident. So it's better than what it was 2 years back, but it's still not a consultant, right? So it will still make mistakes. So this is the mini review, which it made for us. You can see the whole article, right, in great detail. Okay, the entire one it has done and it has given all these references. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually share this article with you, right? I'm going to share this with you and I'm taking this. In fact, if we could probably publish this also to the web, right? So we publish this to the web. Okay, and then we can, yes. Sorry, let's put this link with link. Okay, so I'm going to share this link with you. And yeah, you tell me how good or bad it is, right? We'll be waiting for your review on this. Yeah, so I'm just putting up this link over here and you can read this up, right? You can tell me the thing. I've not read it yet. We just generated it. That's how it. Okay, so this is the next tool. Now I'm going to show you one more tool, which is actually a free tool. It is from Stanford, which is called Storm. Okay. So this, in fact, the first time I showed this tool many years back to a lot of people were fascinated with this. They were mind blown. But now it's not that great because the very reason that you now have very good stuff from other tools also. Like, for example, I'd say the mind blowing thing is this, right? Google Deep Research. This is not as mind blowing, but okay, it's not bad. So let's here, instead of writing the prompt, you'll have to just give the topic, right? So the prompt it is doing at backend. So role of GLP-1 RA, MSLD, that's the topic. And we are just going to click hit here, right? And it's going to do the research and everything. It generally takes 3 minutes. What is the writing purpose? Now it is asking for the purpose. So here we'll say, I am an endocrinologist and I'm doing this. I'm writing a mini review on the topic, right? Yeah, this is the point. I'll just put this, like submit, and then we'll allow it to cook, right? So it will start doing that. Now, of course, it's going to write an entire review article for me for sure. But at the same time, that this used to be very fascinating 1 year back. But now, of course, you have better tools which are able to do it in a better way. Okay, now let's go back to Perplexity Labs again and see where it's reached. So it's still doing the research. It's about just a minute or two into it. But actually write a complete review. I'm going to share that also with you. You tell me again how good or bad the review there is as well. So this was the first part. That is how you do the deep research. The second part is how you collate all this research, right? So where you're going to put this research up and what you're going to do with that, right? So for collating the research, the greatest of all time tool is Google Notebook LM. You can just search, you can just Google Notebook LM and you'll find this, right? And here I can see all my notebooks, right? All these notebooks that I have. Now what I'm going to do, I'm creating a new notebook, right? So I'm going to put all the sources here. So first I'm going to take the source which was generated by the Google Deep Research. So I'm going to show you how to put all these searches and then how to put all these sources. And then we'll ask questions to the source. Okay. Let me then pull up the article which Google wrote for us. So this is the Google's article. So first I'll export this in a PDF and then we'll take that from there, right? Okay. Or I can just copy and paste it. Yeah, there you go. So I'm going to take this as a PDF, right? I'll download this and then export that. So we have downloaded this article which was written by Google for us. We'll take this and we'll put this as a source over here, right? So upload sources. And this is the source. And I'm just uploading this, right? So it is uploaded one source. Now let's look at some other sources. So we had asked, remember Perplexity, we had asked about, yeah, so it's almost done with the mini review. Okay. I'll just come to that in a minute. So yeah, so we looked at all these articles. So let's copy some of these links and then we'll add these links as the source. Okay. So you can actually add a link also, right? As a source. So you can, sorry. This is a link. So you take this link and put it here. So this becomes a source. Now it is looking at this link and it is going to extract the data from this link, right? Here you go. In fact, let's do something great. Okay. Just make me a list of all these links, link now, which I can paste to Google. So the lazy brain in me says that यार एक एक link कौन copy करेगा? इसको पूरा एक बार combine करके बना. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I actually made a mistake. Just had to do this. So I actually accidentally use Perplexity spaces for this. We don't want that. We just want like routine Perplexity. Yeah. We'll allow this. So there you go. It is just done all these links. So let's just copy all these links and put it in Google.pkn. Take all these links, go to Google.pkn, click add, click website, and put this. Sorry, I have to format this a little. But थोड़ी link डाल देते हैं. So it is, I put all these links. Now it will search for all these things and it will collate all this information over here. Okay. Now we have done this. Okay, great. Now what are the things we can do with this information? Okay. So you can actually generate a podcast. We have seen a lot of people share, a lot of people like me share all these podcasts. This is where the podcast is from. You can ask questions here to this. You can actually generate a mind map. So let's start with that. We'll ask it to generate a mind map. And it'll also take a few minutes to do a podcast, take a while. So let's start by asking a question here. Okay. Can you explain in bullet points? Okay. Or let's say, does the benefit of GLP-1 RA in MSLD go beyond its benefit? Okay. How much of weight loss is required for the benefits of GLP-1 RA in MSLD? Something like that. Okay. Just I have not thought through this. This is a question. So we'll try to search for the answers from our sources. Right. For the benefit of GLP-1 RA in MSLD, particularly concerning histological improvement, a significant weight reduction is important. So it's looking at histological improvement. Okay, that's a good question. So here, studies have shown that varying levels of weight, for example, semaglutide had demonstrated 14.9% reduction of body weight compared to 2.4% with placebo. Tirzepatide showed this much. Right, the efficacy of incretin-based therapy, particularly in fibrosis, correlates with this potency in weight loss. Okay, so on and so forth. Right, so this is the thing, and each of these it is giving you the source. Okay, so where did it take? So it took this from this article. It took this from this article. It took this from this article. It is giving you exact sources for this also. So this is collating. So let's say you're writing a paper, you put all your sources in this place and then keep asking questions and getting information from there, right? Can you give me a couple of references from this in Vancouver format? Right, so you can actually ask for citations for this, right? So you can just click on it and some citations, right? So It will generate citations also. Okay. Yeah. So look, it looked at this article. So this is an art. Now you have this citation in a format. So when you're adding citations to your paper, you can use this very quickly. Now, here is the mind map which it generated. So it looked at GLP-1RA in MSLT management. It is first talked about MSLT, right? So prevalence and impact, nomenclature, pathophysiology, so on. Then it looked at Then it looked at GLP-1RA per se, right? Mechanism of action, clinical evidence of trial, practical considerations, and future perspectives, right? So it is looking at, and in fact, each of these, you can actually click on it and it'll tell you the article from where it's taken and the information on this, right? So on and so forth, right? So this is all, you can actually create mind maps and other things. Now, the same thing you can do with all of these with other tools, like for example, Perplexity Spaces. You can go to Spaces and you can upload all these sources here, right, in the Spaces. In Claude, for example, you want to do this. Claude also has something called projects over here, right? So Claude projects. So you can put all this, you again create a new project and put all your sources over there. And same thing you can do. In fact, I would just realized I've not shown you Chat GPT even once today. Well, you are using all tools other than Chat GPT. So in Chat GPT also, you can create a project over here. You can see here, there's a new project. I can create a new project and put all these sources in the new project and you can take it from there, right? So these are all ways in which you can do. Again, Chat GPT also has a deep research, right? So this is agent mode, which is great. I'm going to maybe show it to you in some other talk. So here, this is the regular search and this is deep research, right? So I can do deep research. Let's just put बुलाया तो डाल ही देते हैं. Same thing, right? So let's see and then allow it to do some deep research on this topic. So yeah. Now it is also asking some, just like Google, it is asking some questions. Do you want the review to focus on or to cover all available agents? Should it emphasize on clinical trials? Do what is right. Again, lazy, little what is right. But ideally, you should answer all these questions. So it will conduct all this research and I will give you the answer, deep research again. So you can see again, it is going to take some time to do the research. Now, talking about time, let's go back to Perplexity and see the job it had done for from labs. So if you see, we had asked it to write the mini review article. It has written the mini review article. It has written the abstract, pathophysiological rationale, clinical trial landscape. Okay. So it started with the lean trial. It actually made this nice little imagery also. NASH resolution without fibrosis worsening, right? GLP-1RA versus placebo. Look at this, right? Actually use this with dual, triple, okay, with figure, again, give the figure caption also. Meta-analysis and systemic review, real-world effectiveness, safety and tolerability, practical prescribing information for endocrinologists, Indian perspective, wow, future directions, conclusions. So all these things it has given in a beautiful way, right? Yeah, great. I'm going to share this with you. See how I can do that. See. Right, let's see if this opens up for you. So I'm going to share this. Check it out. Okay. You can listen to this. This is for audio. You can bookmark this and so on, right? So this is the power of AI, which you have today. It literally writes a mini review for you in minutes right in front of you. Again, we had a Storm by Stanford, if you remember. Yeah. So this is Stanford. Same topic, right? You can see this is actually a free tool. It's not going to be as good, but yeah, why not? It's completely free. It's from Stanford, which is a reliable name. You can actually again download this as a PDF. So let's do that. And I'll again share that with you. So you could again, you review that for me and tell me how good or bad it is. Right. So there you go. Yes. Yeah. So you can just again tell me how good it is. Give a table of contents and so on and so on. Right. So this is the power of AI that we have. Right. So what we did, we did the research and we collated the research. And I think we had enough for today. So I think you got the gist of it. Let's just see some tail ends of this where we updated. Okay, Chat GPT is still doing its research. So yeah, we'll allow it to finish. We'll allow it. We'll see. We'll come back to this in a few minutes. And yeah, so with this, I conclude. I'm sure there have been a lot of questions. So let me then answer that. And now I'll allow you to raise your hand. So just raise your hand and we'll allow you to unmute and we'll allow you to ask your question live. Yeah. So yes, we have Nidhi Mishra. Nidhi, please go ahead.
I would like to ask, like, in the ethics that you were talking about, how is all this research and all these papers that we raised on the basis of AI and different from pleasures?
Okay. So it's not plagiarism. By classical definition, plagiarism means that you have copied somebody's work and then claim that to be your own. For example, let's say Nidhi wrote a review article. I just copied that review article, put it in my review article and said that this is my review article or this is my article. This is my even text. This is the sentence which I have made, I have written, which actually Nidhi has written. So that's the first thing. You would then argue that, fine, still it's not a work which you have done. It's a work which AI has done. So can you claim AI's work as your own? That's a broader argument. But I am not taking your work as my own, right? I'm taking AI's work, whether I own it or not, that's a different question. That's the first part. But let me then, since it's the topic of ethics which you have raised, let me tell you a broader perspective. This is my perspective. See, first and foremost, you have to understand that whether you like it or not, the Pandora's box is open. It's out there. There's no way you can actually police it and stop it. There are tools which can detect whether it's AI generated or not. But Avneesh and me actually do workshops where we teach them how you can circumvent that also. Then you will say, what is the ethics of that? So the argument is, in fact, I can write my own writing samples. I can use tools, specialized tools for that, where it looks at my writing samples and then generates based on my writing pattern an article which looks exactly like how I have written it, right? So that's also possible. But let me tell you the broader perspective of this entire argument. See, in today's world, secondary research, like what we are doing right now, mini reviews, has no value. Trust me. And this is a bold point which I'm making. Secondary research probably has no value because, my friend, ChatGPT or any of these AI tools will do a better job than you in a shorter period of time. What has value is creativity, is original thought process, and original ideas. So if you find an original concept which nobody else thought of, your time from the thought to the production to the publication is much shorter. That is what AI is for. So if Nidhi Mishra has a great idea which is fundamentally going to change how I treat my patients with MSLD, and in a normal routine time, you will take months, probably half an year to write a review article, and then there'll be series of publication issues which will come, and somebody will say, "Hey, this is too radical idea. You have not cited this source properly. Your source is not proper." In fact, we had a root shock. We sent this article to one journal. It said, the source which you have quoted does not actually exactly say what you're saying, right? So probably that's an incorrect citation. So you change citation number 7, 8, 15, right? So then you go back and change that. We all had experiences with peer reviewers, all kinds of demands they have. The point is, let's look at the broader picture. The idea is radical. The idea is different. The idea should be out to the world. The language, the citations, the other things should not matter as much. So if you see from that angle, and if you see from that angle of mine, you'd probably say that AI is a blessing. But secondary research, if you're really writing an article on use of GLP-1 and MSLT, probably you should not be writing that article because ChatGPT or Perplexity or Google Gemini will do a better job. That's fine. Avneesh, your take.
So I totally resonate with your thoughts. And regarding that kind of AI detection tools, they have their own limitations. And as per my knowledge and understanding, the technology right now is quite behind the generative kind of the technology. And I think people who are trying to police these things actually don't understand the technology and what it can do and how it works. So there are many journals out there which are still trying this futile exercise. I think we should focus on maybe put all those resources on something else. Like you said, putting out the original research faster, bringing out those results so that the patients who need that kind of research get that in time, the drugs and medicines get out to the market in time. I think that is a bigger question for the
Yeah.
use of AI. I completely agree.
Yes. Amit Gupta has asked, we'll take a couple of questions from the chat and then we'll ask more people to unmute. please analysis in depth patient data based on CRF and protocol. Amit, I didn't understand the question. So can you just raise your hand and ask that in a minute? I'll understand that better. Manoj has asked, please explain about specific research tools like Semantic Scholar, R Discovery, Find, Summarize Paper, Elicit. So yeah, these are tools which are there. Like I said, in my opinion, my own personal opinion, I don't use them. I don't pay for them because I don't find any added value to the high grade research tools that you have available with your regular research models. But Avneesh, your take on that? We have discussed this in our previous workshops. We have discussed Elicit. We have discussed site consensus. We just had recently, we discussed about it. But your view, Avneesh, on any of these specialized tools?
Yeah, so there was one question in the Q&A session, Q&A box, that how can I filter studies based on original articles and all those things? Do I have to put in a prompt? So, of course, if you are good at prompting and you can write a very good prompt and use the correct tool for the correct purpose, then I think those tools like Consensus Insight and Elicit don't have much use. But if you are maybe a novice at prompting, or you are practicing, so that gives some kind of filters. So you can maybe filter the kind of original articles from the year 2000, 2020 to 2025. So all those features are there. But then I would say if you are good at prompting and you are good at identifying the tool which you need to use, whether it's Google Notebook LM or Perplexity or Claude or Gemini for that particular purpose, I think these tools are now far ahead. They have taken the lead and they're backed by big companies, big data and all those things. The amount of database which these companies have at backend, I don't think Consensus and Site have access to that kind of a database. And there was a time 1 year ago we were teaching Consensus, Elicit, Site, and all those things, and they also have this deep research and everything built in. But now almost all tools out there are having some kind of basic foundational technology. And even if you use one tool properly, whether it is Perplexity or whether it is ChatGPT, whether it is Claude, as you Rome, he does everything on Claude. If you use one tool with good prompting, I think that's enough. You don't need to go at so many tools.
Agree, completely agree. I think one anonymous attendee has talked about that. I think, yeah, so I think this could be, we could probably argue on this till the cows come home. But I would say as of now, I completely agree. In fact, the large corporations are now behind it. I don't think smaller players are going to survive that, but that's the unfortunate thing. They should. Unless they come up with something very exciting and interesting, it will be a problem. Yes, Dr. Shalini has asked, most journals will not accept AI-generated article. You'll be surprised, Dr. Shalini, how much most journals actually will not detect AI-generated articles. That's the thing. But yeah, but like Avneesh said, time will come. In fact, the number one journal, New England Journal of Medicine, loves AI. In fact, there's an entire AI section on it. And if you see their terms and conditions, very clear that we will accept anything which is generated with the help of AI, as long as you say that you accept that you used AI for that. Having said that, the idea is that when the top journal of the world is not at all, it doesn't have a problem with that, I think the other journals should also follow suit. What I also see essentially as a difference is that the most original innovative work will be published in NEJM. People that aspire to publish there, the downstream journals will probably get secondary research articles. And if they start accepting AI, they'll be flooded with reasonably high quality articles, which then they'll have difficulty saying no to. Probably, right? Again, maybe a tinfoil hat there, but there. Yeah, Nalini has raised her hand also and asked the question. Nalini, please go ahead and ask the question.
Thank you, Om and Avneesh. Firstly, congratulations, amazing sessions,
Thank you.
both of them. So my question is, when you've generated with a very good prompt, a quite reasonable material in one AI model, definitely it's not going to be perfect as I've discussed. What if we combine all the three? Suppose we're using Gemini and Perplexity maybe and ChatGPT, and then take these three and then put it on the fourth platform to eliminate glitch and give a detailed prompt for the same. What would and how would the data be when generated? Would it be usable, consultant level, maybe in the language that you said?
Yes. Yeah, Dr. Nalini, great idea, first and foremost. And we've all done that. In fact, that's what I do a lot of times. So you take some idea from, what I essentially do, I'll tell you my work. So I use Perplexity for research. So this basic research, I'll use Perplexity, and I use Claude for writing. Okay. So I take the data from Perplexity and put it in Claude. Claude does very beautiful writing. So do a very beautiful writing, but it's not very good at search. Now it's coming back with research. Research is actually still experimental in Claude. So what I do is I take the research work from Perplexity or Google Deep Research and other things, collate all that, and then put it into Claude in a Claude project and then use that for writing the article. So that is exactly how I do for whatever I do. What you're saying is 100% doable and will definitely improve your outcome for sure. Provided, of course, you're paying for a lot of these tools, so it'll increase the cost. That's one. But secondly, you can actually put it in your same, for example, Chat GPT. I could start with using GPT 4.0 for research and then put it in a thinking model, in a O3 model for writing. So I could do that, right? So within the same tool also, you can reuse the tool. I can probably start with a different prompt, and then when I'm writing it, I use a different prompt. So again, the magic comes in terms of prompt engineering. If possible, you just again, if you take the medical residency system in perspective, you have one resident is definitely inferior to a consultant. But if you have 5 residents and they join their brains together, they'll be far superior than a resident, right? Than a consultant. So I think that's how it is. So if I ask Claude and ChatGPT and Perplexity to have a work and collaborate together, they'll definitely out surpass the humans for sure, even today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That answers that very well. Thank you.
Yes. Area Javed has asked, what's your take on Gemini AI consensus? We'll talk about Jenny and Willbot and all those things in part 4. Avneesh is going to do a quick rundown of how you will write the article. So we'll take that in the last part. So we'll come to that. Yes. Anonymous attendee has asked, I have a PDF of textbook. What will be the best way to make AI to make study notes from it? Yes. So what you could do is you could upload it in Google Notebook LM. But what you will have to do is probably use individual chapters. Now, in one whole book, if you put the entire Williams on Google Notebook LM, it's going to probably break somewhere. So what I'll do is I'll probably take the sections individually, right? Separate it out and put it, or maybe put it chapter wise and so on. You can put up to, if you're a paid subscriber, you can put 300 sources in Google Notebook LM in one notebook. So 300 means it will cover the textbook for sure. It will almost cover Harrison. So forget about even Williams. Right? Avneesh?
I completely agree. And that is why I told first principles thinking. Always try to break down your problem. Even if you're writing a research paper, try to break down into steps. Like we have broken down into literature review, then maybe processing your research and then writing the article and then refining it. And then even while writing the article, you will have some kind of 2-3 steps which you have to do. You have to write it and then paraphrase it, and then we'll be showing you all that. And to answer to Dr. Nalini's question also, I was very much mentioning the same kind of creativity which is needed to get good result out of these tools. I use many times, and the multimodality of these tools is just excellent. You take out output from one place, maybe create a prompt for ideogram from Claude, and then put it in ideogram to generate an image. Or sometimes you take a write-up from Perplexity and then put it into Gamma to convert into a PPT. So that kind of thing is also there. And there was some study from Microsoft, if you all remember, the last 2 weeks back, MXDA or something like this. So what they did was same thing. They used ChatGPT, Claude, all those models they used together, and they were talking to each other, and they achieved such good level of accuracy, even more than the conventional models. So as Dr. Om said, if they join hands and they work with each other, even 5 medical students, they can read 5 textbooks and they can come up with good kind of work. So that's totally doable, and you should try to do that. Definitely.
Right. Dr. Prem Prakash, Dr. Prem, please ask your question.
Yeah, it was really amazing to listen both of you. Congratulations for that. I would like to ask one question. Can we get the ideas to do study in our small clinical setup? Newer ideas on topic on diabetes or some other research work. Can we ask AI to get all these ideas?
Avneesh?
Yeah, AI is a very great brainstorming tool actually. So if you go to Perplexity and you just we did a literature review, you can ask a further question that what are the research gaps in this area, or what I can replicate or I can do new in my setup, and then you can give context of your setup. Maybe you are getting patients of a particular kind more than others. So all those things, the more you chat and the more you converse, the deeper you go, you will definitely, it's a very, very good, very nice brainstorming partner. And this is a very important use case of AI in fact, I would say.
Okay, so our resident can use this AI for this purpose, right?
Definitely, please get them a paid version and make them learn, make them attend this kind of workshop, and you will be very much happy down the line.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. I'll quickly run down through a lot of the questions. Okay. AI tool for mind mapping. As we already showed you Google Notebook LM. You can try that. And there's also called whimsical diagrams. It's a custom GPT in Chat GPT. So you can try using that. Dr. Raju Gopal has asked, LLM is guiding the prompt better. Do you see keywords good enough instead of prompt? Yes, Dr. Raju Gopal, I think, sir, what I feel is that in future, you would actually start with lazy prompts and get better prompts, to use Avneesh's words. I think Avneesh also showed this as an example that you can actually make your prompt better. In fact, Claude has come up with a system. Why Claude is far better than a lot of the things is because whatever prompt you put, it first improves your prompt and then it puts that as a question. So it takes a little longer to answer, but it actually does that as a step. So if you, this was revealed by them in their own paper, that this is how we do it, right? This is how we make it better. Because you might, tum to kuch bhi prompt likh doge, but we'll make it better, right? So that's how you do it. Yes, but NNF actually uses their own brains to make your prompt better. And that's one of the secrets behind some of the tools also. Yeah. We'll ask Dr. Gauri Shankar, can you please ask a question live?
If I am a reviewer, do I have any tool whereby I can find out whether it is AI generated or it is the original work?
Yes, Avnish.
There are tools out there. One is called GPT-0 and Zero GPT. They are just, one is free and one is paid. I don't know. I'm a bit skeptical because, see, what is going on in the background? You are judging a black box with a black box. You don't know how it is coming out with that kind of a prediction that this is 70% AI generated, 20% AI generated. Although some journals have a benchmark that, okay, less than 20% AI generated. But if you put the same thing in two different tools and maybe even the same tool twice, I am sure it will give two different kind of readings unless it is showing 100% for all the AI generated content. This is my personal view. I would not personally suggest anyone to spend their exercise on this. Simple ways to ask the person submitting, have you used AI tools? Where have you used it? What you have used it for? Just please declare. And we should, instead of a policy of penalizing, I think it should be a policy of disclosure. And maybe we can ask them to again re-improve their work. If they have used AI, it's good, it's okay, it's fine. But then maybe if we can ask them to maybe add some kind of thing from their side as well. I think that would be a better practice. That is my personal view. Although I'm not an avid researcher or I'm not submitting too many articles or publishing them. I think Dr. Om can add, but I think this is a futile exercise looking at the way things are going.
Yeah, I agree with you. You can't stop it. Very difficult to really. You'll always find a smart guy who will circumvent any of the AI. In fact, there are tools which will. It's not that difficult. In fact, it's not difficult at all. You just have to find out what GPT-0 is using, what tool. I just have to find ways of. It's impossible. I don't really. I completely agree. It's a futile exercise of trying to police it. Just embrace it and maybe see how you can use it in more effective manner. That's what I will say. Yes, Dr. Satyavamshi, can you ask your question live, please?
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, so during I have done some studies. So after that, when I'm asking regarding statistics, when I'm asking the results of the statistics, each time it is giving a different result. The chat GPT. So how can we interpret then whether it is
Yeah, if
each
you
time
could,
when I ask the same question, it is giving a different result regarding statistics because statistics we have to difficult part for residents. So I'm taking the help of chat GPT for statistics. So
yeah, so you should probably take help of Orange and we'll see it. See, that's why if you would have noticed our lecture series, we have not used Chat GPT for conducting statistical tool. We are using a separate tool called Orange. So we'll come back to that in module number 3. Right. Of course, there are ways of using Chat GPT also. You can use a good way of doing statistical analysis with that. You will require a very solid prompt, and there are, of course, ways to circumvent it and get smart prompting will solve the problem. But if your thesis depended on it, I would not use Chat GPT. I would use Orange. Avnish, agree?
Yeah, completely agree. ChatGPT is just for initial, just going through the
Getting an
your
idea.
data and getting an
Yeah.
idea of your data set. That's all, and maybe generating some kind of visuals. ChatGPT is good at that, but apart from that, Orange is a wonderful tool. And
So
easy to use.
Well, in fact, that's the reason why we wanted to show something different, and we'll discuss Orange live. Okay, somebody has asked, AI tools can do comparative literature. So what intellectual value does a mini reviewer? I agree. That's what I said. These days, secondary research probably has less value. So I agree with you. But of course, the problem is that we are still mandated to do a literature review when you're writing a thesis, or you're still mandated to do a literature review when you're writing a paper as a part of discussion. This is part of the process. I don't know whether it has value or not. I think maybe time would tell. But
Ethical submits are not all.
sorry. Yeah. Okay. So and we'll now probably take maybe one or two. I think everybody, we answered everybody's question. Yeah. Amit Gupta. Dr. Amit, please go ahead and ask the question. Waiting for a while. I'm sorry.
Thank you, sir. So my question was like, if we want to do a data analysis from Excel, if I have a protocol and CRF, so what kind of a prompt we should do and how can we clean the Excel and get the analysis done from those
Yeah, Dr. Amit will do the data analysis in a later section, right? So today it was just an introductory thing and literature review. We have a section on data analysis with Orange, like I said, and that time, we'll answer your queries about how you can prompt it better with ChatGPT also. Yeah, I think there are a lot of, Dr. Manju will discuss the writing part separately. Dr. Javed, we are not going to discuss making presentations. We'll keep that separately. There are separate workshops we are doing for that. So we'll be focusing on research here. Yes. So I think, yeah, we've probably covered everything and we are way beyond our time. I thank you all for being so patient, and we still have more than 100 participants hanging on till 10:30 in the night on a Thursday evening, which is testimony to the fact that there's a lot of interest in AI. And yeah, thank you, Avneesh. And thank you for being the opening batsman for this. If I ever wanted an opening batsman for an AI workshop, you'll be the one, for sure.
Thank you so
So-
much. That's a huge
so-
compliment and a huge responsibility that I completely embrace. And thank you so much for even being a non-endocrinologist for including me into this workshop and allowing me to interact with so many learned minds and to learn myself. And for the remaining modules, I will be a student myself. So really happy looking forward.
Thank you. Dr. Sona, we hand it over back to you. And thank you for being patient to hang on till the last part as well. Thank you.
Absolutely, of course. Also, by judging the number of questions that we had, it is really clear that it was a very engaging session, thought-provoking. As we discussed in the beginning, prompts are the key. And for the lack of a better word, this AI is really addictive because it is giving us really good results at the tip of our fingers. And so that's really good. Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a really great session. Thank you to everybody for logging in also. We'll continue having these sessions every week for 4 weeks and hoping to see you all again. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So
Good.
yeah, so we'll see you back next week where we're going to discuss about Google Notebook Google Teachable Machine. We'll talk about machine learning. It'll be very exciting. A lot for us to also learn. So we'll get some other experts also out from outside. And so looking forward to that. So good night, everyone, and see you next week. Bye.
See you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.